These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Reckless speculation.
Reckless speculation.
Gentlemen, it is a Reckless Speculation Thursday here, intersecting with a scoop session with Darren Doogie Wolfson from the 5 Eyewitness News Sports Department. We bring him in every Tuesday and Thursday. If you haven't already, click that like button and the subscribe button on the Score North YouTube channel if that's where you consume. I'm in the mood to speculate recklessly today, boys. I don't know where you guys are at, but I'd love to hear someone throw out a couple just like wacky ideas that we can latch on
to. I'm going to start. I'm hearing Nick Saban is going to retire. Bill Belichick is going to be fired. And I'll throw this in. Pete Carroll is going to be moved into an advisory role by the Seahawks. Those are things I'm hearing.
Unrealistic.
You would have loved it. Phil, by the way, happy Thursday to you, gentlemen. Phil, you would have loved it yesterday. So I'm in the presence of Mark Coyle for a sit-down interview, TV interview that will air Sunday night, locally here in the Twin Cities on Channel 5. So I'm bonding with Mark. Yeah. In the moment that I'm bonding with Mark, his media guy, our good buddy Paul, gets a notification on his phone. Pete Carroll done with the Seahawks. So then I joke with Mark, and hey, Mark will be the first person to tell you, like, you know, he's pretty boring at times, right? You know, so I said to Mark, hey, should I start the PJ Fleck to Seattle rumors?
Nice. And then the Bama job opens up. PJ to Bama. Let's check the odds.
By the way, here in the studio, what is this?
Yeah, I saw that. What is that?
Judd Zolgad. You want some reckless speculation?
Looks very confidential. Like
I would imagine this is a contract.
Oh,
Judd, am I on to something?
It's a Judd contract.
That's my contract. Yeah.
Wait, did the legal office just like throw that in the studio?
They were just throwing it downstairs.
Don't you have a mailbox?
Can you stick it in my mailbox, which is just outside?
There's no reason to recklessly speculate. Let's find out the terms of Judd's contract.
Yeah, you know what?
I have it right
I wouldn't mind as much as the company. I've got a feeling that I wouldn't care much. I think the company would be very upset. And so that's probably not a good idea.
Judd negotiating the private jet a couple times a year.
The PJ's in parking spot. I'm going to park right by Joe Schmidt. It's going to say KSDP Sports Director, and then it's going to just say Sports Dad.
Oh, so wait, breaking news. Judd Zolgad, new contract here.
He hasn't signed it.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, this is Batista Triple H. Like, is he going to
it's signed.
Dan Seaman through the table? Like, what's going to happen?
No, it's signed. These are the duplicate copies, but I love the fact
Wait, no. That's Jeff Dubé's music.
I love the fact they brought it downstairs and just threw it on the thing.
Just threw it in the studio.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Oh, God. Yeah, please put that in my mailbox and forget you saw it. No, I don't care.
I will do that. But
Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm going to rip it open first.
Let's talk some Vikings, boys.
I don't trust you. You would. Okay.
Let's talk some Vikings here. Okay. I don't know. I'm trying to see if there's anything to latch on to. We will do a deep dive on Purple Daily on the Kwesi KOC press conference, but I'm wondering, there's so much up in the air in the NFL right now. And I'm wondering, you got 8 head coaching openings. You've got quarterback openings all across the league. Some teams looking to draft, some teams looking to figure out their Kirk Cousins situation like the Vikings. So for the Vikings, are they kind of running the show here? For like, do the Vikings have to wait for any dominoes to fall around the league? Or can they take care of their business with Kirk and Daniil without any sort of external circumstances? Because I'll give you one thing here. If you're Kirk and the Vikings aren't offering you the structure that you want, the money that you feel like is respectable, there's a report this morning. I'll give you some reckless speculation. We'll start here.
Reckless speculation.
So Bill Belichick is no longer the coach of the New England Patriots. Press conference this morning with Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. There are 2 credible reports, one by The Athletic and another one, I think, by NFL Network, that the Atlanta Falcons are very, very interested in Bill Belichick. Mm-hmm. And if you're Belichick, you're looking around at the Falcons. They got a top 10 pick. They've got weapons all over the offense. They've got like $30 million in cap space to spend, and that's before slicing and dicing their roster.
Good situation. They play the Vikings in 2024.
Yep, but you also, if you're Bill Belichick, you're probably done with like the Mac Jones, Bailey Zappi, young rookie quarterback thing. We've talked so much about Cousins to Atlanta. His wife's family's from Atlanta. They got married in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Kirk and his wife, right? I'm starting to see a picture here, recklessly speculating, if the Belichick to Atlanta rumors are true, and he's not going to want to just draft a quarterback with the 8th pick, take like a Michael Penix and develop him. He's going to want an established quarterback. Would there be a path to Belichick, Cousins, Atlanta?
Oh my God.
8th overall pick, edge rusher to help shore up their defense. They don't have a great edge rusher.
Reckless speculation.
I'm just throwing it out.
What about this? What about moving from 8 to 1, giving up 8, your 25 first-round pick, your 24 second-round pick, other picks. Then go get the quarterback you identify, whether it's Drake May or Caleb Williams. What about that path? I need to know then.
I don't know
who
that
is
Belichick
the OC
wants
in
that.
Atlanta. I get the family connection, Cousins to Atlanta, but I need to know more in terms of, quarterbacks coach, play caller, that sort of dynamic. Plus, what is the price point that the Vikings will not exceed? Okay, both sides are motivated. Like Phil, I'm positive. Both sides are motivated to get something done. Doesn't mean here that a deal gets done, because I don't think the Vikings are going to exceed a certain price point.
I got a couple questions here, though. So Kirk was offended the fact that that didn't get done last March because the Vikings wouldn't guarantee, and by the way, I agree with Vikings, a second year. The Vikings said, we'll do an extension and we will guarantee the first year, but we're not going to guarantee the second. And so Kirk said, okay, then I'm not.
You have that nailed down, by the way, Judd, because
Ben Gessling reported as of a couple
it was
weeks
along
ago
those lines, but was it an additional year? Are we sure it was those exact terms?
Gessling did a big piece on the Cousins contract and where things might go a couple of weeks ago, in which he said it was the second year, it was the back end year, which would have been 2025, I think, that the Vikings said no on. And so, but my point is this, and the same is going to hold true.
I still wonder about that, but okay, keep going.
Okay, but the same holds true for Hunter as well. If you're this close to being a free agent, why wouldn't you be tempted, or, what's the motivation to say, well, I really like the Vikings, so I'm just going, unless you get blown away, right? So I don't see, why come this far to not complete the marathon?
And did Kwesi sound like a guy yesterday in his press conference that was ready to blow away the Cousins camp with an offer that would make it a no-brainer for them to not hit free agency?
No, and I can't foresee a scenario where that takes place. Yeah, and on Daniil, you've never hit unrestricted free agency.
Right.
Why would you be motivated to do a deal before testing the market? Right? I'll give you another interesting domino. Let's say the Steelers lose on Sunday to Buffalo. Are we positive that Mike Tomlin is back as Steelers coach?
Oh, boy.
Not that he's getting fired.
Dude.
Yeah.
But
Dude, you could play that game. You could
are
play
we
that
100% positive? Hey, we talked months ago about Mike Vrabel, right? Well, look, it came to fruition. There's enough chatter, just people wondering.
Well,
I just don't know if it's a 100% stone cold lock as we sit here on Thursday morning, the 11th of January, that this time next week, Mike Tomlin is still the Pittsburgh Steelers coach. The reason I bring that up, Brian Flores, right? I still think Brian is back. I still think the pending litigation, when you're suing the league, makes it really difficult for him to get a head coaching job. But Pittsburgh might be the one. Just something, I don't know, something top
Are you
of mind.
hearing
I mean,
that?
it's very reckless speculation.
I got to push here.
No.
Are you?
I hope the
are you
aggregators
hearing
don't
that?
aggregate this.
You're
No.
too late.
This is very
because
very
I
much
saw-
opinion based.
VikingsFanPage.com.
I saw a tweet from a guy that I know is loosely plugged in, and so I'm not going to swear by this, but it is reckless. But it just dovetailed with what you said, and it sounds like
I saw a tweet from a guy who was loosely plugged in.
And I'm going to tell you right now, he tweeted that Brian Flores told the Vikings that I'm not looking to leave unless one of my 3 dream jobs becomes available. And according to this tweet, Pittsburgh was on that list.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't doubt that one bit. Sure.
So I think you are on to something here, and that is incredibly intriguing.
Well, it might be all moot, right? If Tomlin is back, right? I mean, I don't know how many people or at least verbalizing the possibility. Maybe you're thinking about it in your head, but I don't know how many people are bringing it to the forefront. But I'm just wondering, right? This is a safe space for this reckless speculation. I'm just wondering if come Tuesday, is Mike Tomlin still, this is presuming, by the way, Buffalo beats Pittsburgh, that Mike Tomlin is still the head coach of the Steelers.
So right now, there are 8 coach openings before we even talk about playoff teams. There's Patriots, Seahawks, Chargers, Titans, Falcons, Commanders, Raiders, Panthers. In terms of like the more openings there are, the more likely it is Flores jumps, right? Supply and demand. But you could also make a case, and I'm not saying he would be the front runner for any of these jobs, but like you said, Steelers, I think Tomlin stays, but it's a worthwhile point.
Probably. But hey, 2 months ago, we thought Pete Carroll was probably staying, but we brought it up in this space, and hey, it happened.
The Eagles, if they let's say they get embarrassed on Monday, that franchise is, I mean, they've moved off Andy Reid and Doug Peterson. Like that, they won't linger around if there's a change to be made. And then the Cowboys, I don't know that the Cowboys would, again, make Brian Flores the front runner. But if, let's say the Cowboys lose at home to the Packers in the wild card round, Mike McCarthy's probably getting fired, I would say. So there could be 9 or 10 head coach openings at the end of the day here if a couple things go sideways during the wild card round. And that opens up more doors for Brian Flores to leave. Now, there's some Vikings fans that have soured on Brian Flores the last 3 weeks, and I would just remind them, nobody thought this was going to be a top 5 defense. So
correct.
Vikings Nation, you want Brian Flores back here in 2024. I promise you that.
They figured out his defense. No, he had no personnel to work with outside of Daniil Hunter and a couple other guys. He literally all due respect to Josh Metellus, he took a special teams player, 6th round pick, and made him the most important player, maybe like sort of wild card player on that defense. He's brilliant. And yes, I agree with Doogie. You definitely want him back.
By the way, speaking of Metellus, I'm told the rookie meal tab from Monday night just under 10 grand. So it wasn't crazy.
That's not too bad.
Well, that's not bad.
We talked about that on Tuesday, so there's the follow up today.
Where'd they go?
More.
Do you know which restaurant?
Yeah,
Spoon?
give me a second. No,
Mason Margot.
Oceanair.
It was that. Yes,
Mason
Phil.
Margot.
Yes,
Mason Margot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that place is.
That was it.
Where's that one?
It's a David Fema restaurant. It's off
it's a new
First
FEMA
Street
spot,
in the North Loop. Oh,
yeah,
FEMA,
good
fantastic
things.
stuff.
Yeah,
Fantastic
that's
stuff.
exactly
I don't
it.
got Chili's in Woodbury though.
So
that's what they should do. Go to Olive Garden. You know.
So more.
You can eat pasta.
More on the reckless
Now I'm craving a
speculation.
Red Lobster biscuit.
Thanks, Doogie. More on the reckless speculation coaching stuff. Okay, so I got a few more. So Pete Carroll was moved out for a reason. Like, I don't think that this was a arbitrary, it's just time. I think he was moved out for a reason. What I read yesterday was that the Seahawks are very interested in bringing Dan Quinn back from the Cowboys. But to your point, Phil, if the Cowboys get upset and the Cowboys decide, you know what, the Mike McCarthy thing is done, I guess my question is, would they try to retain Dan Quinn? And then could Brian Flores be a candidate in Seattle, which, by the way, I don't believe would be completely adverse to a defensive guy. I think most teams probably want a quarterback guy. The other one that I think we're accepting way too much, because this guy has lied through his teeth before, is that Saban's retiring.
Oh, wait. You think he's going back to the NFL?
I think that this guy has lied about what day of the week it is.
Reckless.
I mean, this guy is a habitual liar if he needs to be. So yes, I think.
Well, which current team do you think has it lined up with Saban right now?
Well, or I'll ask another question: could we be looking at a Lennon and McCartney reunion of sorts with Belichick and Saban?
Oh my God! But would Saban really leave that job to be like the defensive coordinator for the Falcons?
No. I'm saying Belichick is GM, Saban as his coach. But the Alabama job, to me, college football jobs right now, Saban's smart as hell, man.
Sing it.
College football jobs suck right now.
I'm with you. Yep.
NIL, players control you. I mean, Nick Saban, what made Nick Saban not a great NFL coach and a fantastic college coach was control. He had control of everything. You've lost that now. So I'm just saying, I think this whole thing about Nick Saban's done. Do competitive guys like that really retire while they're still pretty much on top of things? I mean, Nick Saban's still a hell of a coach. I'm just throwing it out there. I think there's something cooking.
It's interesting.
Right now.
Yeah, and didn't they? I mean, Saban's regret wasn't it that they had a chance at Drew Brees and then they were gonna make a move for Drew Brees when he was the head coach.
These guys here, these guys here did too.
Mm-hmm. But there was like people in the front office
or something.
2005,
give or take.
05 or 06. Yeah. And they wind up with Joey Harrington and Dante Culpepper and Cleo Lemon as their quarterbacks, and that drove him back to college football, right?
Yep,
that's interesting. So you'd have the Atlanta Falcons with Bill Belichick running the front office, who, by the way, has been terrible at drafting and player development the last few years, and then Nick Saban as the head coach with Kirk Cousins as the starting quarterback. Oh God!
And Arthur Blank, Home Depot guy, with a no pun intended blank check here.
Wow.
I mean, Arthur Blank.
So then, what is Rich McKay's role? Rich McKay has been there forever.
Oh, Rich McKay,
head coach after head coach after head coach.
Yeah,
he can advise. He's an advisor.
Or Saban might be in line. I'm just throwing this out again. Save space. Seahawks possibly. Like, there's a lot going on here. I'm just the Belichick Saban reunion is just a pie in the sky. But I would say the odds are really good that Nick Saban didn't resign to retire. He and Miss Terry, I think, might be headed back to the National Football League.
I will tell you, the last 24 hours is yet just a reminder that just when we think we have things figured out in late December, heading into early January, Black Monday, what have you, there's always a surprise. This time next year, I promise you, there will be a surprise. There always is.
Yeah.
Always.
Agreed.
Okay, deep breath for a second. We'll get back into the scoop bag and maybe some more reckless speculation. But a handful of years ago, I discovered AG1. It was actually like 6 or 7 years ago. I'm trying to do the math in my head. And AG1 has been a huge benefit for me. One scoop mixed with water in the morning or even in the afternoon, and you get 75 high-quality ingredients, important daily nutrients. In fact, AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that supports your body's universal needs like gut optimization, stress management, immune support. And that's just where AG1 is so big. You know, if maybe you're not like Tom Brady and you're having kale and lean protein for every meal. You know, you're living your life, and AG1 is that nutritional insurance, making sure you get what you need every day. So if you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. And I'm probably wrong. I'll direct people to drinkag1.com/purpledaily. I believe we also have a website link for this podcast. I'll get that for the next episode. But for now, go to drinkag1.com/purpledaily. That's drinkag1.com/purpledaily. Also, boys, Zero Res is here to deep clean your home. And yeah, I bet you if you polled the audience and said, hey, have you ever had your home actually deep cleaned as opposed to just like running a vacuum and maybe dusting the mantles and stuff? Pretty high percentage of you, if you're being honest, would probably say, no, I've never done that. That's where Zero Res comes in here. Start the year off with that deep breath of fresh air in your home. You can get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $119 when you ask for the Score North special. And also $75 off when you get your air ducts Zero Res cleaned. That's 952-ZERO-RES or ZeroResMinnesota.com. Say you want the Score North special. Spell it forward or backwards. It spells the same. Zero Res. Okay. Let's stay on Vikings if we could here. Kwesi, Chip and Kevin did a great job. You guys mentioned this on Royce, just sort of peppering Kwesi with hard questions yesterday. The 2022 draft discussion is a fascinating one. Kwesi was asked about Scene and Booth basically being non-factors after year 2, and I won't read the whole quote. But toward the end of it, he said, these guys have shown us nothing but reason to believe they are going to keep on their upward path wherever that ends up. He also said, I know it's a results business, and so we'll see where that ends up at the end of the day. Do you think Kwesi's kind of feeling the heat from that first draft at all? Do you think internally they're looking at him sideways for that 2022 draft?
I mean, I think he's feeling some heat. I don't know about internally if people are looking at him sideways. I mean, you do have the out with Scene, the catastrophic injury. Now, hey, he's been fully cleared for over a year.
Yeah.
All right. But that is the out with that one. I still go back to that process. How they ended up even selecting Lewis Scene to begin with. This pressure that they thought Tampa right behind them was going to go with Scene. Like, who cares? But just even moving backwards the way they did, I wonder deep down, I don't know if he would ever admit this on the record, but I just wonder deep down if there's regret about the process just to even land there in the late 30s when you really didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And especially if you were intent on drafting a safety, Hamilton was there for your original pick.
They didn't like him.
And
yeah,
so,
I mean, I said it in the moment. I'll reiterate it now. They didn't have a healthy opinion for whatever reason. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole too much, but I just know on the surface, like pre-draft, there was very little interest shown in Kyle Hamilton. The Kyle Hamilton camp just never got any sort of vibe that the Vikings were all in on him or even half in on him.
It's really interesting.
He just wasn't their guy. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, he was
my guy.
Like, I think it's not even, an opinion. Like, it's fact-based. He's one of, the 3 or 4 best safeties in the game right now.
Yeah. Hey, do you think, I know it's probably more of your just educated speculation than like any reporting here I'm going to ask you about, but Justin Jefferson, so Kwesi did say, hey, had great dialogue with his agent this morning, yesterday. We built a lot of the groundwork for a contract last season, so we're going to keep in touch, talk again soon.
That is true. Like, okay. Phil, I'm telling you, there were some people with the Vikings that thought on the afternoon of Saturday, September 9th, 20-something hours before kickoff, opening game against Tampa at US Bank Stadium, that they had a deal done. That's how close it was. Okay. So, yes, I take him at face value on that the groundwork was laid, that they came so close on September 9th, they can eventually push this thing across the finish line.
Nick Bosa is the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. Is that the decision the Vikings have to make on Justin Jefferson, making him the highest paid non-quarterback or trading him?
I don't know the numbers that were discussed on September 9th, but yes, I think at this point, yes, I think there is a desire to become the highest paid non-quarterback.
If that's the case, let's say that's the line. Like, there is no negotiating that he's either going to be the highest paid non-quarterback, and that's going to be part of your economic situation to navigate, or you can say no and go get 2 or 3 first-round picks for him from some team. Like, I mean, the Chiefs have late first-round picks, but there's some teams out there that would love to have a Justin Jefferson and give up a bunch of draft capital. Are the Vikings just in a box right now where they probably just have to make him the highest paid non-quarterback, or is there any chance they could get weird and say no and then explore alternatives?
That would really, really surprise me. I think it would even shock me. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, as long as the Wilfs are running the ship, I just don't sense, Phil. You can make a compelling case, right? Kirk, thank you for your service. We're moving on. You look at the landscape of the NFC North for the next couple of years. Okay, the Packers are well-positioned. The Lions certainly are well-positioned. The Bears are well-positioned. That the Vikings of the 4 teams in the NFC North are in the worst possible spot over the next couple years. I don't want to say 5 years, but over the next couple years. That now is the time. It should have happened 2 years ago. Now is the time to truly hit the reset button. That, yes, if you can get multiple first-round picks, maybe a 2 as well, that you make that Justin Jefferson trade. I'm telling you, I will be shocked if they do it.
The intriguing thing
I'm
about
just telling you, the Wilfs want to win. I don't see a pathway where that happens.
But Dukes, the prevailing outside public opinion of this whole thing is Justin Jefferson's going to be very mad if Kirk does not come back. The reality is this.
Baloney. I think that's baloney.
And the reality is this: Justin Jefferson could very well be, and I don't blame him, part of the reason Kirk does not come back. Because if Justin Jefferson's going to break the bank starting in 2000, so keep this in mind. The Vikings are prepared to pay Jefferson a ton and in guarantees that's going to go on the cap in 2025. That would be very reason of the case not to then have Kirk also be paying a ton of guaranteed cash in 25. So Justin Jefferson, at the end of the day, might be a reason that Kirk does not return. And the other thing, too, is so if they can't get this done, I don't think they're going to trade him, but this could go into training camp because if you guys recall, Nick Bosa held out for much of training camp last year from San Fran until he got the contract that he currently has. Mm-hmm. And remember, because Jefferson is going to be going into the 5th-year option of his rookie contract, his fines can be forgiven. So he'll get fined every day he's gone, and it gets to be a massive amount. But on a rookie contract, that's the only contract in which fines can be forgiven. So there's a lot of tentacles here. But I would urge people to remember that if Justin Jefferson is retained and paid like he wants to be paid and Kirk leaves, that is a huge factor.
Well, I mean, I think that they would aim to get the deal done late July at the latest. before training camp.
Sure.
Certainly, if you have a new quarterback in place, you don't want Justin. I mean, I'm stating the obvious, but you don't want Justin missing time.
That makes it easier.
In August, right? There is something to be said about camaraderie, chemistry, all that stuff. I wouldn't worry about Justin keeping himself in shape, much like Nick Bosa. Like Justin would do his thing, down in Louisiana or wherever, Miami. But yeah, I mean, if you have a new quarterback, you want Justin here. I would imagine if they move on from Kirk, that Jefferson deal is done by late July.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is like the 49ers have done so many great things. That's such a great roster building organization that they can move up draft capital to take Trey Lance, whiff completely, and not miss a beat and still be the favorites to get to the Super Bowl in the NFC, right? They can just flush it. But the way their roster is built up right now, because
different universe, Brock Purdy is here, right? I mean, the Vikings had some interest. Yeah.
Garoppolo gone, Trey Lance gone, and his cap number wasn't that high either. So because Brock Purdy makes less than $1 million a year toward their salary cap, they've got Trent Williams as one of the top 3 highest paid left tackles. They've got Eric Armstead as one of the highest paid non-quarterbacks cap-wise in the league. Deebo Samuel, Fred Warner, George Kittle. All these dudes have cap hits over $20 million a year. That's the benefit. I mean, if we haven't said it a million times in the last 3 years. So to me, I don't think there's any way. I would bring Justin Jefferson back, and that's fine. Only if I'm saying goodbye to Kirk Cousins. Even if it's only like 2 years for Kirk Cousins. Because I'd rather free that up now and use free agency to start backloading 26-year-old free agents too. Like, let's go get a couple studs in free agency who are 26, 27 and commit to building a great car around a cheap, young, talented quarterback. But if I'm keeping Kirk, I don't think there's any scenario where you would keep Kirk and trade Justin Jefferson. That doesn't make any sense. But I just why bring back Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins and then still continue to bitch about the rest of the roster as if you don't know what the problem is? It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and that's a fair stance. But I also think reality is it may happen, right? I'm telling you, both sides are motivated to get a deal done. There is a price point. So it's possible Kirk seeks more and he ends up elsewhere, but that both sides would like to get a deal done so that Kirk is back and they pay Justin. And those guys are here. And inevitably, they're stuck in middle purgatory.
Yep.
I mean, that's the Wilfs, though. I mean,
yep. And
I need evidence to suggest that the Wilfs are willing to say yes to a true rebuild. I've never sensed that for 2 decades.
So in the press conference, Seifert asked that exact question of Kwesi, which is essentially something along the lines of, do the Wilfs meddle in what you want to do, which obviously restricts you? And Kwesi, tried to dance around it as best he possibly could. But that's the intriguing thing that we don't know, and that no one's going to come out and on the record tell us. That's the most important thing is, are you being allowed to construct this roster? See, because I always thought, until Kwesi attempted to spin it yesterday, competitive rebuild to me was the mandate. I never thought that Kwesi said, I'm looking at this roster right here. Let's go competitive rebuild. That sounds like fun. Let's take category B. I always thought that he was told, and I do think Ryan Poles showed the Wilfs his plan, which was to take a stick of dynamite and blow the whole thing up.
Mm-hmm. I don't doubt that.
And that's what he did with the Bears. And that the Vikings ownership group said, hold on a second here. Mike Zimmer was a problem, but we can win still. So I do think that there's a lot of conflicting views on how to do this. So Doogie, you might be right about this. What Phil is saying makes a lot of sense, but it might not in the minds of people who like the stability of what they have, even if that doesn't necessarily result in a Super Bowl, which I don't think the Wilfs accept. I think they think that they can sort of cheat the system.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the case. Now, I actually don't think deep down Mark Wilf came up with the verbiage competitive rebuild. Yes, it was the mandate, but I think competitive rebuild, that terminology came elsewhere.
Agreed.
But yeah.
I agree.
Let's also remember, if Kwesi doesn't get this job, he wasn't getting another GM job. Now, 2 years later, maybe a different opportunity would have come about. I don't know, maybe, but he wasn't getting another GM job. So you only have so many cracks at this, right? So the opportunity presented itself. Okay. You have this mandate, for lack of a better term, from ownership. It's your chance to run things. Okay, you know what? I'll accept those terms because this is my chance to become general manager.
Yeah. Wow, this is what a session here. Hey, we got a couple minutes left, Doogie, so why don't you dig in and empty whatever's left in your scoop bag here for us?
Yeah, so Tyler Nubin, the former Gopher safety, certainly has a real chance to go top 40-ish, top 50-ish come April's draft. He underwent recent knee surgery, so he will not play in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, but he will be. The headline is, here's the good news, he'll be fine for the Combine late February into early March. How about the Wolves? Should we feel good, Phil, or feel dejected after last night? So Sunday, Dallas up 106-100, 3 minutes, 35 seconds to go, end up losing. Last night up 106-97, 3 minutes, 30 seconds to go, lose eventually in overtime. But Kyle Anderson was so good last night. How about Cat the last 2 nights? So good. No Gobert, no Conley.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But then Ant, you look at Ant's fourth quarter and overtime. Only 1 made shot, 3 turnovers.
Yeah, it's a train
He
wreck.
was good the first 3 quarters, then fell off a cliff. So I'm just wondering, do you feel good? Because Boston, undefeated at home. Yeah, no Porzingis, but they had enough guys, right? You had them on the ropes, right? Like I saw Bill Simmons, diehard Celtics fan, tweet last night, hey, like that's the Celtics' best win of the year. The Wolves still remain number 1 in the West. Yeah, well, I mean, I think when you're down 9 with 3:30 to go, regardless of the opponent, who the opponent has.
From that perspective, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, go to his Twitter page. You can see, or his X page. You can see what he wrote there. So I'm just trying to figure it out. But I think overall, you should feel okay. I think they need more structure. Mike Conley with the ball, right? You missed Mike Conley last night for sure. But you look at these 16 games, the 16-game gauntlet is now done. You finished 9-7, 11 of the 16 were on the road. The Wolves have played 5 more road games than home games at this point. Yet they still remain number 1 in the Western Conference. If you're a Wolves fan, to me, Phil, you should feel pretty darn good. They continue to make some phone calls. The trade deadline, now less than a month to go. Hey, we saw Shake Milton. He had a pulse last night. I still think they end up trading Shake Milton.
He played 9 minutes, was a +8 in those 9 minutes. So
yeah. And the other thing, today is the arbitration deadline in baseball. Remember the Twins. We'll see some Twins news later today. They want to wrap up deals with all their arbitration-eligible players. I don't have the full list in front of me, but you've got Caleb Thielbar, Ryan Jeffers, Alex Kirilloff, and others, Willie Castro as well.
It's such a weird process. It's
very weird.
It's a team and a player in their rep fighting over. Like the team is so the team posts a number that they think he's worth, and then the player and agent post a number that they think he's worth, and then if they can't come to terms before the arbitration deadline on a middle number, then they literally go to a hearing where the team trashes the player in an effort to get the lower number unlocked.
It's
right?
so odd. And hey, this regime, it had been a while, but this regime not afraid whatsoever to get in front of the arbitrator. Zero
Who knows nothing
fear.
about baseball. That's my favorite part.
It's the Bobs from Office Space. It's the Bobs. They're just going there to trash them.
But anyway, I foresee some deals being reached later today so they can even avoid even having to figure out something before they go into that judge's, room and all that. So look for some Twins news later today.
All right, Darren Doogie Wolfson on this Reckless Speculation Thursday. We'll see you next week, Dukes.
All right, boys. Take it easy. See ya.
Thanks,
All right, boys. Purple Daily coming at you here on this Thursday, too. We do have a Score North Twin Show where we will start to unveil the top 25 Twins of all time. So that'll be a fun list to go through. If you haven't already, click that like button and the subscribe button on the Score North YouTube channel, and we'll see you guys next time.